think I remember being in the city of New York, and while the MWBE program itself was blooming and advancing, Denise, like, your company just blew up with the city. And so tell me, what era, what year was that?
I believe that we started really to see a very large growth spurt in 2015, around 2015, 2014, 15, and we were growing leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And we finally reaped the effort of all the hard work that we started in the late 90 bidding, and bidding was very difficult. We did not know how to navigate the process. We couldn't really be in front of any agency. It was very tough for us.
Yeah.
It took us many tries before we were able to be successful. But I will tell you, my journey working with the city of New York has been very, very satisfying. I always learn every day something different,
Yeah.
no matter what agency I work with.
That's amazing. Now, I know you were touching upon this a little bit in regards to the bidding process, but what other challenges did you face in your journey in contracting with the city?
You know, the challenges was always, you know, how do you price a project, right?
Yeah.
You know, understanding the RFP and the RFQ. It can be very confusing to a small staff that never were exposed to government.
Yeah.
The lingo was confusing. They also would not tell you always everything that you need to answer verbatim.
Yeah.
So you really had to think out of the box and make sure that the content of your response was exactly what you needed, and you were graded. So, you know, we had to bid many different bid before we actually saw result and success, and that takes a lot of patience and hard work. There's no way around it. But the journey with the city, nevertheless, has been very successful for us.
I'm glad to hear that you kept going, you didn't give up, and despite the challenges that you guys endured, there was always the tenacity to keep going and learning. Very great. Danielle, can you pinpoint specific city resources and programs that has helped Compulink navigate the procurement system?
Yes, so many weekends, I would say,
Yeah.
there were times where we had to take our own training, and it wasn't during work hours. It had to be on our time off to ensure that we were taking trainings hosted by the city. So for example, one was hosted within the MTA every Saturday, and it taught us a lot about what it meant to be a prime contractor versus what it meant to be a subcontractor. The city hosts a lot of events and networking events always, and they were predominantly by SBS, NYSHA, Empire State. Even the ones hosted by New York State, we would make sure we would be attending because you saw a lot of the same people. So you were able to make an appearance not just one or two times, but several times around the year. And I believe the city websites, right, they were always traditionally and still are to this day a great resource for research. And the New York City Reporter, I did not personally use that tool, but Denise has told me a lot about how that tool was part of everyday research.
And New York City checkbook.
That's an imperative one.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to know where your contract is. Yeah, absolutely. How about with the Mayor's Office of Contract Services?
Well, I think the revelation of Passport made it very, very easy for a lot of contractors. You know, today the platform is awesome. If you're responding to an RFP, it's very easy. If you have a problem, there's a way to communicate with them. They're held accountable, you're held accountable.
Exactly.
There's transparency, and it's a lot more agile and easy to transact. You could upload your paperwork, your document, everything isn't done, and you could get paid much faster. You upload your billing, your invoices. So I don't, you know, we used to have Vendex. So between Vendex and Passport, it's a huge difference. And I'm glad the city and Max actually created Passport.
Thank you. I remember reviewing procurements on paper, and I used to get paper cuts.
Oh, wow.
Those were like the days, and it was like less than a decade
Stacks
ago.
of paper.
Stacks of paper. And now I get carpal tunnel, but it's not paper cuts.